Okay, for today, what I'm going to do is go through a number of different modules in the Denali software. So we are starting in the main module, or the controller. We've already done quite a bit in accounts payable, so I'm assuming we're pretty good in accounts payable. I'm going to go to inventory, and the in-class group has looked at inventory quite a bit, but if there are any questions, let me know as we go through. So I'm going to go to stock items, and I'm just going to grab a stock item. And an easy way to do that, I could either double click here whenever you see the magnifying glass, or I can go to the find button. If I click find, I get a drop down with a whole bunch of items. If I just hit one of these arrows, it'll just arrow through all the different items. So I'm going to go back. So that you can see it a little bit better, I'm going to hit the edit key. That'll change the grayed out area or muted area so that we can see it a little bit better. So we're in the quantity price info area. If you have questions about this, then ideally you can go to help. And I know that help hasn't been working sometimes, but I'm going to go to help. Oh, maybe I'm not. Are you guys trying to go to help or not? Anybody? No? Oh, you are?
It works sometimes, it doesn't work.
No, I mean right this minute.
Mine works right now, yeah.
Okay, would you get out of it just for a second? Would you get out of your help? And let me see if it works for me then. This is just a test. No, it didn't. So nobody else is in help, right? Okay. So for some reason the help isn't working. And we are working on that and working on options. But right now we don't have it totally fixed. So the pricing type, you can handle pricing in a variety of different ways. This particular entity is using list level pricing. So you can see we have this area called level list, and we have lots of different prices here. These are for different categories of customers: dealers, brokers, wholesale, retail, best friends, whatever it happens to be. Another way you can do it is just to have a straight list price. I'm going to hit edit again. Okay, I'm going to just find one that has a list price. Here's one, and it has a list price, and it's only one amount. So if you buy 1 to 1,000, this is going to be the price. You can also use this list price option to give volume discounts. We'll find another one that has a volume discount situation. Here we go. This is a list price option, but if you buy from 1 to 4, it costs you $125. If you buy from 5 to 9, it costs you $120, etc. So this is a volume discount option. Now, obviously, there's lots of other tabs here. So many of them are not particularly relevant. I mean, you don't have to put anything in. They're relevant in terms of being helpful. So I'm going to go to one that is relevant for entering information, and that is the sales information area. Notice here, if you want to have a product type, you can enter that. Then you can get reports by product type. You can record the purchasing size, the storing size, other information. You can identify the sales general ledger account that will be used when you sell this particular item. So I'm going to cancel out of there. As long as we're in inventory, I'm going to go to the options area, module preferences, and you can run in different modes. I don't have too much to say about that. The user-defined fields, you don't have to have any user-defined fields. They have chosen to have several user-defined fields, apparently to be able to identify the location where this item is stored in their warehouse. So they have row, level, location, zone. Now notice that the user-defined fields are not all created equal. This These first two are 6 characters. The second two can be 10 characters, and the last one is actually a date field. So in this particular case, they have expiration dates. And then notice that we actually have a total of 10 user-defined fields that we could use. So you can use from 0 to 10, but you can't use them interchangeably. In other words, the date can only be used for dates, that sort of thing. I'm going to cancel out of that, go back to options, module preferences, I wanted to talk about the integration. So we are integrated to General Ledger in detail, and we are integrated to accounts payable, so it will let us look up accounts payable vendors. Okay, I'm going to cancel out of that. So I'm going to now go to the SA, or the order entry area. SA is the sales module, and you could either be integrated, or you could either be using order entry or point of sale. The only difference is point of sale has you connected with a cash register. We're not using point of sale at all. We're only using the order entry. So I'm going to go ahead and click on order entry, go to enter orders, and I'm going to enter a few orders here. So I'm going to choose a customer, and over on payment method, this is an AR charge. That's what I want you guys to use, because when we post this, it will set up a receivable in accounts receivable. Then we'll go into accounts receivable and we'll record the payment. So we'll do that in just a minute. But before we do that, let's go down to this area and go ahead and purchase some inventory. So I'm going to purchase a swivel chair, and if the price comes in at $36, if there were 2 of them, then the total price, the extended price, whoops, yes, the extended price should come in, I'll be darned, it didn't change, did it? It should have come in at, oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's the extended price of $72, so that's correct. And it gave me an option to include a predetermined comment code, and I said yes, I wanted to do that. Now, what I can also do here is I can add non-inventory items. Down at the bottom, you can see that it says F5 to view stock items, or if you just double click, it automatically goes to stock items. Alt F1 for non-inventory, Alt F5 for predetermined comment codes, and Alt F6 to type in your own comment. Yes?
Is there a way to do it without pushing Alt? Like, is there somewhere you can choose it? Because I couldn't get that to work on my computer because it's kind of weird.
There's sort of a way to do it.
Okay.
For example, I typed in gold, it was supposed to be gold fixture, because this is a special order. I'm going to say this is a special order item. It's not an item that I normally carry. So I'm going to double click on that, and whoa, I didn't expect that to come up. I'm going to change this to okay, I didn't expect that to come up either. Actually, I expected what to come up would be the box for special order items. Wait, that's not working. Ah, there it goes. So instead of double clicking, what I should have done is hit the enter key. So if you type something in here and it's not recognized, then this box will come up. And you can say this is a brand new stock item, this is a brand new non-inventory item, this is a special order item, or you can just cancel out. So in that sense, you you can do something other than the alt. But in general, you would need to use these codes down below. So for example, I'm going to do Alt F1. And, I'm sorry, Alt F5. Where's the Alt F5. There we go. Alt F5, and that brought up my non-inventory items. So if I want to charge this person for some particular item, usually it's setup or labor of some type. And I see that I did not get to the right area. I got to the comment code area. I'm not reading this correctly. Okay, it's Alt F1. That was my fault. Alt F1. So here it is. If I want to go ahead and charge them for some consulting time, then I can select that. It came in at $50 an hour. If I wanted to charge for 2 hours, then I would do that. Okay, so I have just reported an invoice. I could go ahead down here and I could click on Save and Print, or I could click just on Save. We probably won't be printing much. Or I could go over here and click on Options, and in the Options area, there should be a spot where I can save without printing, and there is. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So I saved it without printing. I'm now going to escape out and escape again. So my normal process would be to go to Order Entry and then to print the edit report. I would check the edit report to make sure everything looked right, and then I would post the invoices, right? So if I go in there now, nothing from what we just did would actually be entered, but I'm going to go ahead and post the invoices. I'm going to click OK. It's warning me that I haven't printed this item, but I can go back to another spot and print later. So I don't care that I haven't printed. Yes, I want to post. So we're going to go through the posting process. I'll go ahead and at least print this first one to screen. When you see this blue box, don't go anywhere else. Don't click and try and go anywhere else, or you could cause yourself a problem. So the first place it went is to Sales Order Entry. In other words, it captured this information in the sales module. It's going to go several other places, including inventory, accounts receivable, and general ledger, but I'm just going to cancel out just for time's sake, so we won't see that. All right. So the next step in the process might be to go to accounts receivable. So I'm going to go to accounts receivable, and the normal thing that we do in accounts receivable is to receive customer payments. So I'm going to go into the transaction area, enter payments and adjustments, and I will select, if I remember, I think it was the beauty company, wasn't it, that I picked? I think it was. So I will select that company, and then it's asking me for the transaction code. Now, the way the computer knows what to do here is the first digit in the transaction code. What we're going to be doing right now is we're going to be recording a payment. As long as you start with a transaction code beginning with 4, it's going to be a payment of some type. But you can record different types of payments. So here we have just a regular payment, we have a credit card payment, we have a payment by check number, etc. So let's assume that we have a whole stack of checks here. People have paid us, and we're now going to record all these payments. So I'm going to go ahead and double click there. And then what I would do is I would put in the dollar amount of the check. I don't know what the total amount is, so I'm going to cheat and go down here to the reference to pay area, and I'm going to double click. And we've got all these different items here. Well, let's say that I'm only receiving a check for this $131.25, the oldest item in here. So $131.25, I'm going to go back here and put that in, Now, that would be on the check, that's how I would know. Then, actually, the process would be for me to come down here and find which invoice that's paying for. Well, ideally, I would have received a remittance advice that had this invoice number on it, and it would also be this dollar amount. So I would have dual confirmation that that is the right one, and I would grab it, and then it would show me that that's correct. So if that's the only item, then I would just save it. If I had a whole bunch of other checks, I would just go ahead and go on to the next one. Now, the other thing that you can do in accounts receivable is you can actually record sales. So right now, I'm in a transaction code 4. But if I want to record a sale, and this would be for service companies, like, for example, CPA firm, if I wanted to record a customer charge, well, there's not a great one here. Oh, maybe there is. Right there, customer charge. I could have one here, tax preparation, audit fee, whatever I wanted to. So I could go ahead and I'll just grab that. And if I chose that transaction code, whatever I put in here is actually going to be the amount that I'm charging to the customer. Okay, so I'm not receiving it, I'm charging it to the customer. My recommendation is to use the order entry area, the sales area, because you get much more powerful reports. So whenever you can, it's probably better to do that. There might be times when this one is better, but in general, I'd say use the order entry. So I'm going to cancel out of here. I don't want to save my changes. As long as we're here, let's go to the options area, module preferences. I'll go to integration, and you should run full integration on everything, I'd say. It just makes everything easier. When you do that, when you post, it posts automatically to everywhere it's supposed to post. Once again, we have our user-defined fields. We're using some, and then here's the defaults. So, this gives you an option to put in a default AR clerk if you want to. I'm going to cancel out of that. I'm going to go back to options, codes. You have to have an AR code. The AR code, I'll just pick one. The AR code shows you what general ledger account is going to be debited when you have this type of accounts receivable, and it should also show you the aging periods, and it does. It shows you the aging periods down here. In addition, you should have a terms code. The terms code is something like 210 net 30 or just net 30, depending upon whether you want to have a discount or not. If you want to take a look at one of these terms codes, you can just view it right there. Here's the information about the terms code. If the client takes advantage of the discount for prompt payment, this is the general ledger account that the discount amount would go to. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out there, cancel out there, cancel out there. So we've been in options, codes, we looked at the AR code, the terms code, and then there's other items here. I don't know if you noticed, but several of these items are actually the user-defined fields. So the user-defined fields actually come in, and this is where you would define them more specifically. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of there. I'm going to go back to the customer area, customer maintenance. I'm going to just grab a customer. This is where you'd enter all the information about the customer. This is the allowable payments. For example, suppose somebody has not been paying you on time, you might not allow them to pay you in any way except cash. So you could do that. Or you could allow them to pay, by check, by credit card, whatever you choose. This is the billing and the shipping area. You could bill to one spot and ship to a different spot if you like. Here's your contacts area. Here's your transaction history. Whenever you get that funny little icon, you can drill down to see more information about this particular transaction. So that's what I did. This particular transaction came from an AR invoice. It allowed me to drill down. I'm going to just go ahead and show you what I did there before. You see how the cursor changes? When I click here, it'll show me, give me more information about this particular invoice. That's what that does. Let's see. That may be all the information I need here. There should be a spot where I put in the credit limit. Here it is. Here's the credit limit. Here's the terms code for this particular customer, etc. Okay, I'm going to cancel out. So we've been in order entry and we've been in accounts receivable. I'm going to go ahead and we've been in have we been in inventory?
Mm.
Go to inventory. I guess we did, didn't we? Yeah, I showed you these list prices. Okay, that's right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to purchase order just to show you something. In purchase order, you can ask purchase order to query your inventory, and if you have entered minimum and maximum order quantities, it will actually review your inventory and prepare purchase orders for you. So right here it's generate purchase orders from, I'm going to say inventory. I think I did this already, and so there shouldn't be anything in there. I'll go ahead and log in. But I'll go ahead and say OK, and it did. It found some items in here that we should purchase if we want to restock our inventory.
Oh.
So I'm going to cancel out of there. Cancel out of there. The other thing, I did forget one thing in inventory. I'm going to go back to inventory and just remind you that there's a spot right here for adjustments. There's two types of ways of doing adjustments. With either one, you probably need to enter the adjustment code. So the transaction code here. So the transaction code, a 1 will add inventory, a 2 will delete inventory. The reason you would use this is, for example, to bring your book inventory up to your physical count at the end of the year. I'm going to go ahead and let you play with those, but there's two different types of adjustments. One will adjust by the amount that you indicate, the other will adjust to the amount that you indicate. That's the one you might want to use if you're adjusting to ending inventory, because you've counted your inventory, you've got 46 of these, 23 of these, and so on. So you just put in the count number. And whatever number is actually there, it adds or subtracts to get you to the correct number. So that's just kind of a convenient feature. The last thing I want to do, I think, today is to go to payroll. We have not gone through payroll very much in the on-site class, so this should be new to everybody, I think. So this is the payroll module. Here's your employees. This second item is almost always a master file. So in payroll, it's employees. In accounts receivable, it's customers. In accounts payable, it's vendors. In inventory, it's inventory items, etc. So this is where all our employees are. Here's where you would enter your payroll. Here's all the payroll reports, and here's the options module preferences. Let's just go into employees first. And I'm just going to pick one. I'll just hit the right arrow. And so I found John Archer. On this screen, you would enter a whole bunch of information about John. So you would have his the name he uses, maybe he goes by J.A. instead of John or something like that. You'd have his status, which could be active or terminated or inactive or temporary. You could put his email address, emergency contact, payment type. Payment type can be hourly, salary, or combined. His last raise date, check location, and site location. So you may send a check one place, but he may actually be working in another, and he might have to go to that place to pick up his check, that kind of thing. Notice all of these tabs here. We're in the General tab. If I go to the next one, it's the year-to-date summary. The next one is the pay rates and taxes. So you can put in, I believe it's unlimited numbers of pay rates. So this is his regular pay, $16.50 an hour. Other time, which is usually time and a half, or overtime, it's usually time and a half, which it looks like it is here. And then other time too, this could be holiday pay, which is usually double time. This person actually works more than one place. So if they work in their regular spot, they get $16.50 an hour. If they work in manufacturing, they only get, what does that say, 15? Yeah, $15 an hour. If they're a tester, they get $17.50 an hour. So they get different amounts for doing different things. The benefits and deductions. Benefits and deductions is kind of a two-step process. First, you have to put in the general benefit or deduction, and you can do it from here. You can do it on the fly, or you can do it in the options area, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And then you have to attach that benefit or deduction to an individual person. So this person has a 401k. They have it both as a benefit and a deduction. The benefit side means that the company is contributing to your 401k, which, by the way, is a great deal, and you should always take advantage of it. Various companies will contribute 1 or 2 or 3%. Match is usually what they would do. So if you put in that amount, they'll put in that amount. That's free money. So if you ever get that option, I'd recommend you do it. But then this deduction amount is the amount that the individual employee has elected to contribute. You don't have to. This is an election that they're going to contribute. Here's the health insurance. Once again, there's a benefit side. So the company is paying a certain amount, and then there's a deduction side. So they're actually sharing the cost with the employee, right? That's the way this works. Okay, so leave code, there's all kinds of leave code. The PTO is paid time off. This could be for sick leave, vacation leave, bereavement, whatever. Here's where you'd set up your direct deposits. We won't do that because we're not collecting bank accounts, etc. Here's some user-defined items. I guess they don't have it. They're not using any here. So I'm going to cancel out of there. We've been in the employee area for an individual employee. I'm going to go to the option area and to module preferences. And this is where you enter a bunch of information. On this side, what items do you want to print on the check stub? Benefits, deductions, additions, whatever you can choose here. Garnishments are a special deal. I'll show you that in just a minute. And this percentage is probably a state percentage, and they differ. Garnishments are complicated. I won't go into that any further. All right. The integration key. This is just how you are integrated. Here's the general wages payable, general ledger wages payable account. You have to enter that here. Here's the bank code. It's very convenient to have a separate bank account for payroll. When I was at Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch, we had 186 employees, and at one time, I think we paid weekly. So that's what, 750 or more checks going through your payroll. If we did not have a separate payroll account, all those would be in our general account. We'd have to go through and mark all those off, right? At Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch, we paid on the, later on, we paid only twice a month, and we paid on the 5th and the 25th. By the 1st of the month, how many payroll checks do you think were cashed? virtually 100%, right?
Yeah.
So reconciling your bank account, your payroll bank account was real easy. So having a separate payroll bank account is really a great idea. Direct deposit, this is just bank information about for direct deposits if you want to use that. User definable fields, they didn't use any of that. So I'm going to cancel out of there. I was in options module preferences. I'm going to go down to the codes area, department codes. I'm going to find department 1, or I guess here's department 1, but you can have various ones, admin, department 1, etc. And this will tell you where you want to record these various items. For example, the employer share of the FICA, you can record that separately for different departments if you want to, so you can keep separate track of that in the general ledger. The wage expense accounts, you can keep separate track of that if you like. The benefit expense accounts also. By the way, there's 2 different ways that you could record the medical insurance that the company is paying for the employees. If you want to, you could just pay it out of accounts payable in one lump sum, and that's fine. The disadvantage of doing that is it doesn't get charged to all the different departments. If you set up your health insurance as a benefit in payroll, then, and let's say you have 5 different departments, and certain people work in one department 1 month and a different department another month, or they work both places, then what will happen is that benefit expense will get appropriately allocated to each department. And that's probably what you want to do most of the time. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of that. We've been in options, codes, we were in department codes. You can have project codes if you want to, where you charge expenses to separate projects, and tax codes. Cougar Mountain is perhaps unusual in that you can change the tax code yourself. You can change all the percentages. They don't, well, they have a ton of possibilities here. I think the only one that's actually set up is this FED. And by the way, for your projects, don't worry about state taxes, just worry about the federal taxes. And also, don't worry about these dollar amounts. They may be wrong. These may be last year's. We don't really care about that. But if we wanted to, we could change them. So there's something called a Circular E, and it's probably all online now, but it gives you all this information. This particular item, this $117,000, that's the maximum amount that the FICA is going to apply to. So this changes every year, so you would have to update that. Well, this $9,999,000, the Medicare amount is not limited. In other words, if I made $500,000, I'm dreaming right now, but if I made $500,000 in a given year, I would only be charged the FICA or the Social Security amount on $117,000, but I would be charged the Medicare amount on all of it. Okay, that's the difference there. Okay, so I could change all that. Now, I'm going to go to the withholding table area. You can also change these withholding amounts. This table changes every year also. These brackets change. So it used to be up to $2,260, you only paid 10%, or am I saying that right? Well, let me see. Well, I think it's between $11,326 and $39,000. You're paying 16% or 15%. I think. Okay, so but these ranges change every year, and the percentages can change every year as well. So you can change that. I'm going to cancel out of here. We've been in options, codes. We went to department codes and tax codes. You can also enter benefit and deduction codes. I'll just go ahead and go in there. We'll just take a look at one. You can apply the code to the first payroll period of the month, the second payroll period, all the payroll periods, whatever you want. You can have a fixed amount, you can have a variable amount. If I hit edit, it will let me change this to a variable amount. So I will leave that to your learning. You can apply it to different types of pay, only regular pay, or to all types of pay, including holiday pay, etc. So this is very flexible. Up here, the deduction, I'm just going to cancel out of here, and I'm going to go back in and go to codes, benefit deduction codes, and I will hit the down arrow just to show you. You can have a benefit code, you can have a deduction code, you can have an addition, a garnishment. A garnishment is special. It'll handle tips. Tips are special, as you might know. Okay, so I will just escape out of there. So we've been in codes, benefit deduction. Shelter codes allow you to shelter certain types of benefits. So what that means is there are certain items, and I'm not finding what I want here. Maybe it'll be under bed. Ah, it is. Okay, here it is. So the 401k deduction is not subject to federal tax. That's the advantage of the 401k, right? It's, but it is subject to Social Security and Medicare. So this is where you identify what a particular payment to an employee, what it is taxable, what portion of it, what specific tax relates to that particular item. So I'm going to escape out of there. All right, and finally, the last thing I want to do today is go to enter payroll. And we'll go ahead and process payroll. And what you need to do is identify the employees that are going to be involved. So I'm just going to, I'll just use the starting employee, and I'll use the ending employee, and I'll just grab a few of these and select. And then when I add them to the grid, it simply shows all the employees that will be paid, and it shows the tax deductions and taxes and so on. Total deductions and taxes. If there's ever a red item, then that means this is a problem and it won't process correctly. So for John Archer, I'm going to give him $100 here. If I can, I'll edit. I'm going to, actually I won't give him $100. What I'll do is put in some units. Okay, I'm sorry, I've forgotten how to do this apparently. I wanted to put that in, but I'm not able to. So I'll have to work on that a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Oh, they want me to correct it, so they won't let me save it. I know what I can do. I can get rid of John Archer. So, start with the next person. Add to grid. Okay, now it should work. I should be able to go to next. And then it's going to, what it's going to do here is take me through the process. So it wants me to do my edit report, fine. and then it's going to print the payroll checks. I don't want to print them, so I'll just do next. And then it's going to want me to print my check register, and then it's going to do this report, and this is just another report that it does. And direct deposits, it's going to generate those, and then it would want me to post. So I'm not going to post, I'm going to cancel out of here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to payroll, and I'm going to clear the payroll. You can clear transactions in every area, so I'm just going to go ahead and clear those right now. So what we had in there is now going to be gone. All right, so we've gone through quite a bit of payroll. Anybody have any questions or comments about payroll? You'll have to go in and practice with it a little bit. How about the other areas? What did I forget to cover in the other areas? I do remember one thing, and that's bank reconciliation. We're not going to go through this in detail, but I just want to show you in the bank reconciliation module, you can go to reports and go to bank register, and you can get reports of your outstanding checks, your cleared checks, etc. This is the most useful aspect of bank reconciliation. And you can set it up for any period that you want. And the thing you would typically do is set it up for exactly a month. Then you see all the checks for that month. It facilitates reconciling your checkbook. So I'm going to cancel out of that. Any questions or comments? Okay. Then I think we will stop the recording for today. So those of you in the online class, please go ahead and practice on all of this and send me emails if you have questions. Thank you.